Dina, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, can you let me know when? Closed session meeting, and let us have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Argumedo,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Rigoyer,
Here.
and Mayor Altamirano.
Here. All right, we'll go ahead and open up public comment. Is there anybody that submitted any?
I have not received any public comment cards for closed session.
Okay. All right, would you like to speak into what we'll be talking about in closed session?
Item number 1, the city council will confer with its labor negotiator with respect to labor negotiations pertaining to A, memorandum of understanding for part-time employees, B, memorandum of understanding for the mid-management and non-management full-time employees, and C, compensation and benefits for the unrepresented full-time executive management employees. Item number 2, existing litigation, 1 case, East Yard Communities for Environmental Justice. Item number 3 is existing litigation, 1 case, Coalition for Responsible Equitable Economic Development, Los Angeles. Item number 4, conference with legal counsel, anticipated potential litigation, 1 matter. And item number 5, the city council will confer with its real property negotiator with respect to real estate negotiations with A, Washtel Commerce LLC and Craig Realty Corporation concerning properties on Telegraph and Washington.
Okay, perfect. We're now recessed for closed session. See you guys on the other side.
you, Madam Mayor. We'll begin with a report out from closed session.
Please.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. All members of council were present via conference to participate in closed session. Closed session discussions commence at 5:11 p.m. As to item 1A, 1B, and 1C, City Manager Edgar Cisneros and Assistant City Manager Vilko Jomic provided a briefing to City Council. Also, Special Counsel Irma Rodriguez Muesa and HR Director Ella Papo participated in these items for a portion of the discussion. No final action was taken. Nothing further to report on this item. As to item 2, 3, and 5, City Council were provided a briefing and an update on these matters. Nothing further to report. No reportable action was taken. Item number 4 was not discussed, so we are removing that from the closed session agenda. Closed session discussions concluded at 6:01 p.m. and that concludes my report.
Thank you to our city attorney. So our 6 p.m. meeting is now called to order. Can I get that roll call?
Councilmember Guimeda,
Here.
Councilmember Mendoza,
Present.
Council members, oh, sorry, he's absent still.
Yes, he sent me a text. He's still handling the urgent matter, so he'll probably jump on in a little bit. This
Mayor
meeting,
Pro Tem,
go ahead.
sorry, Mayor Pro Tem Riboya
Here.
and Mayor Altamirano.
Here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and open up the public comment. Is there any public comment cards?
Yes, I have one comment from Director of Transportation, Claude McFerguson,
Okay.
if he's not here. He's on mute.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, Claude McFerguson, Director of Transportation. I'd like to take this opportunity to advise the public and community regarding a new process we're developing for a new transit plan called Commerce in Motion. Commerce in Motion will evaluate our existing transit and dollar ride service. Our overall goal through this process is to explore ways to improve transit and dollar ride. Commerce in Motion will use technical analysis and input from people from all walks of life, whether you're a business owner, senior, resident, teenager, commuter, visitor, even if you never rode from a bus, tell us why not. We want to hear from you as well. We encourage and value everyone's input throughout this process, and I'm confident with the public's feedback and input, it will help us design a new and improved dollar ride and transit system that meet the needs of the entire community. Commerce in Motion will be hosted a virtual open house tomorrow, Wednesday, June the 17th at 6:30 p.m. During that open house, everyone will be encouraged to tell us about the transit and dollar ride. Is it working for you? If it's not working for you, what improvement you would like to see? Also, let us know, are there any new places you would like Commerce to go? Let us know. This is definitely some feedback that will help us throughout this process. For more information and to register for the open house, please visit our website, commerceinmotion.org. That's commerceinmotion, one word, .org. If you're unavailable to attend or register for the virtual open house, no worries. You can still participate by going to the city's website under transportation and complete and participate by filling out a survey. Just between us now, if you enter your email address at the end of the survey, you have an opportunity to win a gift card for $100 from Target. All the information regarding the virtual open house as well as the survey is registered and located on the city's website. We welcome everyone's input to make transportation system more convenient, reliable, and efficient. And again, our website, commerceinmotion.org, and the survey can be accessed on the city's website under transportation. I just want to thank everyone for their time, and I look forward to your feedback. And Council, you have any questions?
All right. I have another comment for item number 11 on the agenda for ordinance for tenant protection regarding AB 1482. The comment is from Matthew Buck, Vice President of Public Affairs, California Apartment Association. Dear Mayor Altamirano and council members, we represent local housing providers, operators and suppliers, along with business owners and real estate industry experts who are involved with a range of rental properties, from those that offer single-family residences to large apartment communities. Our members provide a majority of the affordable housing throughout Los Angeles County. On behalf of our members, we ask you to reconsider implementing changes to AB 1482. A process of review and discussion regarding the state law should take place before changes are made. There has been no report or analysis regarding issues surrounding the law in the city. AB 1482 is a statewide price gouging and just cause eviction law. It recently took effect, and the city should not make any changes to it until it has been given a proper duration of time to be analyzed. The state legislature spent months working on AB 1482. These regulations create strong laws that all parties can rely on. Local changes without prior discussion and review is not only wrong, but will also tamper with compliance uniformity for the region. CAA urges the city to partner with housing experts and organizations moving forward. There are solutions that won't hurt our housing staff or our communities while assisting those in need. Please do not hesitate to contact us with any questions, and thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, Matthew Buck. I don't have any other comments.
Okay, thank you. Now public comments now closed. We'll go ahead and move on to consent calendar. And what we have on the table right now is items number 1 through 9. Is there a motion for approval? Everybody's on mute. If you're speaking, we can't hear you. You're still.
Thank you. Thank you. I wanted to pull an item, but my laptop, as usual, is freezing.
Okay.
One second.
Definitely take a moment.
Here it is. I wanted to pull item number 9, please.
All right. So we have items 1 to 8. Do I hear a motion to pass these items?
Move.
All right, Mendoza moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a second. Can we please have roll call?
Councilmember Argumedo,
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Boyer,
Yes.
and Mayor Altamirano.
Yes. Okay, items pass. Number 9, Mayor Pro Tem, would you like to hear from the staff, or would you like to ask your questions or comments?
I would like to ask a question. Just for clarification, in reading the staff report, it talked about how our legal counsel expressed concern regarding the MOUs and indemnification provisions, but I see that we're still moving forward with it. So is this against the recommendation of our legal counsel, Norma?
Staff can probably better answer that, but we did raise the concern that indemnification language is not typically what we would prefer. Typically, in our template agreements, we work with CJPIA that provides us with the type of language that they can defend should a claim ever arise. So we did raise that issue to staff.
Yes, legal counsel's correct, Mayor Pro Tem and Mayor. I would put it this way. Legal counsel has advised on a stronger set of language that's more advantageous to the city. The county has pushed back on that language and has asserted that this is the language that they're using throughout the county. And so it's really for the city council to weigh as to whether you want to push back and demand that that language is there. However, that may be at the risk of this program not being made available to the residents. And so while it's not the language we wish we would have had, and we did have several months of negotiations, we believe that it's worth considering that the rewards for the community in terms of the cleanup outweighs the provisions. But we did want to make sure that we highlighted that legal counsel is not has concerns with the language. Now, they're not saying don't approve it or you should not approve it. They're just pointing out that the agreement is not as extremely advantageous to the city as legal counsel would have wished. I'm not sure if Norma would want to add anything to that.
Could you just clarify what that means, though, when it's saying, so is it stating that if, let's say, this company messes up somehow, that now the landowners are going to be able to hold the city liable for what the contractor did? Is that what I'm understanding from this?
That's correct. Typically in an indemnification clause, when we enter into an agreement, right, we come in a stronghold position to say, if we are going to contract with a consultant, with a vendor, etc., we are in a position to say, if something should happen, you should get the proper insurance and you indemnify the city should anything happen. The way the indemnification clause reads in the MOU, it says that the city shall be responsible and we are supposed to defend the county. There's no mutual covenant that says that they would do that for us as well.
Okay, I'm a little uneasy with it. I'll hear, I don't know if my colleagues have anything to say, but Mr. Cisneros, what you mentioned is that obviously the benefit that the community would get from the cleanup outweighs the potential liability that the city holds. So if that's the case, then I think I rest a little easier, but I just feel that the county should have, you know, kind of honored our concerns, and we don't have any more time to negotiate, correct? This is
no. We can certainly bring this back, Mayor Pro Tem, if the council's if the council would like us to continue those conversations. I do want to clarify though, it's for the council to assess, evaluate, and ultimately make a determination on whether or not the reservations that legal counsel has outweigh the potential for good for the community in terms of the cleanups as part of this program. I'm not making that assessment. However, I'm saying it's for the council to determine. And based on that, we felt that we should bring this forward to you. They also did dig in their heels and basically say that every other city is approving the MOU and they want to keep the MOU standard. And this is typical, I would say, of when you're dealing with a larger agency and you're a city, right? And it's sort of like, well, this is the framework and you can take it or leave it. But if the city council would like us to push back, we've been doing so for, I would say, several months now. And they've dug in their heels pretty firm.
And that's probably because other cities have already bought into it, right? So we're probably not going to get any more motion out of them. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for that information.
Any other questions or comments, concerns?
Mayor, as the Mayor Pro Tem Rebollo was speaking on the item, and I was reading some of the notes that I had taken, I was listening also to the comments, and I realized that maybe we could explain to the audience what it is that we're talking about, because I know I was reading my notes and we have the information in front of us, but for a second I thought, wait, if I'm listening live as the audience, I don't know what they're talking about. So I was thinking, because we do have logical concerns, and I also wanted to pull item number 9, like Mayor Pro Tem Rebollo, and I got some concerns. I would like the viewing audience to have an idea what it is that we're talking about. I also had a concern about the indemnification, only because of the fact that, LA County is going to be working side by side with TTSC. And as we are all aware, TTSC has dropped the ball when it comes to this lead cleanup of the homes throughout the years. And I just want to make sure that we as a council and also our staff, that we're on top of it. If there's any complaints, we can either reach out to LA County or DTSC. I think the fact that they don't want to sign anything making LA County liable, it's opening us up for complaints and possibly liability. So again, just for clarification for the viewing audience, that we can let them know what we're talking about, because it is a very important item, and I don't think they know what we're talking about. Thank you, Mayor.
Got it. Thank you.
Certainly, and and maybe this helps alleviate some of the concerns, but the agreement is not with DTSC. While some of the funding may be from DTSC and other settlements, the MOU itself is with the Los Angeles County Development Authority, and it's to address lead-based paint hazards in homes in the city of Commerce. And so I'm not sure if there's any assurances there, but it is not an agreement with DTSC. It is an agreement with the Los Angeles County Development Authority, for the purposes of mutual coordination in order to address those lead-based paint hazards for residents.
Thank you, City Manager.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? So my question is, does City Council want to try to push back, or do you just want to move for the approval and adoption?
We've been pushing back on them for how long, Mr. City Manager?
8 months?
Since December, Mayor Pro Tem.
December.
Okay.
So does that mean that the city of Bell, Maywood, Huntington Park, LA, Vernon, and unincorporated East LA has already signed on?
Most of them. We can get you a list of those of us for sure.
Yeah, can we do that? I would feel more comfortable if we maybe tabled it to the next council meeting and we get more information on the cities that have already signed on and the ones that haven't. And then if there's more than half that haven't, then maybe we we actually would have a stronger case and we can all join together to talk to the county. That would be my recommendation.
Okay, to our city manager. So can we, if the council agrees, we can table the item, and take a look at what cities have signed on. But can we send a friendly letter to LA, our supervisors, and see if we can one last attempt and explain our reason why?
Yeah, absolutely. We will write their legal counsel, Ms. Mary Wickham, and then we'll copy our supervisor.
Okay.
If that's the council's pleasure for this item.
Got it. Is the rest of the council okay with the actions we're taking?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay, perfect. Then item number 10 is now tabled. So we'll move on to ordinances.
Number 9.
Mayor, just for clarification, that was item number 9.
Thank you. So we'll move on to schedule matters to item number 10. For consideration of resolutions authorizing calling a special election to be placed on the ballot. Who's going to speak on this?
I will do the presentation. So the City Council did the initiative in 2011 to establish the term limits. And that was by initiative, and it was a measure placed on the ballot and passed by the majority voters in the City of Commerce. Establishing the intent, the way we read the ordinance and the intent from the arguments and rebuttals was to establish 3 term limits, 3 full term limits for the council members to serve. And also there is a provision there to exempt the partial term limit, for example, when the unexpired term limit becomes available. And so to explain it like in a simple words, like if the person is like filling out the term for less than half, like a year, it's not counted towards of those 3 term limits. However, after reading this ordinance, there is some inconsistencies there. Also, the ordinance established the term limit like 3, but also no more than 12 years. Well, since 2011, and you were all already in office, you remember we changed it twice, the election times. In 2017, we moved the election 3 months from March to June to have a standalone election and not to consolidate with the county. At that time, it was the option available. So that moved everybody's term for another 3 months. Then came SB 415, and that was the requirement to consolidate by 2020 with a statewide election. There were several options available, and the council chose to move the election to March 2020, which we just recently had, which extended again the term for another 8 months. So some of the even current council members' terms were extended up to a year. So now if we go back to the ordinance that we have currently that establishes 3 full term limits, but also state that no more than 12 years, there is a contradiction because first of all, there is a way to have a partial term limit or fulfills an expired term. And also we extended the term limits twice, almost to a year. And legal review was done. So there is like definitely the contradiction of the ordinance, and the section B of that ordinance, we believe that needs to be deleted because it wouldn't allow even any of the current members that are in office to have all 3 full terms, but only 2 terms. And even if you run the 3rd time, you'll have to step down and we would have a special election. So the recommendation is to be consistent with the intent of the voters to have the 3 term limits, and things come up and we have sometimes unexpired terms, to just eliminate in the ordinance section B, which states, notwithstanding the provisions of subsection A, under no circumstance may a person hold office as member of the city council for longer than 12 years. In addition, we added a sentence in section A. I wanted to point out, so the section A reads, a person is ineligible to hold office as a member of the city council if that person has served in the office for 3 full terms. That was a sentence was there. And we added a full term may exceed a 4-year period if authorized by the state law. As you know, just recently happened and we had to consolidate. So the recommendation is to put this measure because the term limits only can be changed by a ballot and bring into the vote as a measure. In order to clean up this inconsistency in the ordinance, it is a recommendation to call a special election, and we have a presidential election on November 3rd, and bring it as a measure for people to amend the ordinance and make it more consistent. Should the council decide to bring it for November election or a standalone special election, we would need to also approve resolution for calling a special election and consolidating with the county. So I'm available for any questions.
Is there any questions or comments?
Just really quick, for clarification, Lena, this item is for the voters to vote on it, correct? So we're not taking action ourselves. It's basically to let the community vote for it.
Yes, it will be
Okay.
like following like as the same as special election and a measure. So we will have a city attorney analysis for the proposed ordinance. We'll have the arguments prepared. If anybody wants to submit a rebuttal, so everything like in the usual election, it will be for the measure.
Okay.
Here, I have a couple of concerns and maybe some questions that Lena might be able to follow up.
Okay.
Okay, Lena, I have 2 concerns. The first concern would be that if we make any changes to the ordinance, in my opinion, it wouldn't be equitable, and I will explain how. And the second would be that if we do have a special election, it's going to incur cost, and it's we're at a period where we're trying not to spend any of the money that we don't have to. I do not believe that we are doing the voters that voted this 3-term limit justice, because this is the first time that we have an opportunity to implement what was voted in 2011 or 2012. So doing the numbers, just so I can have a clear understanding of what we're looking at, I'm going to be explaining out of page 2. Out of page 2, if you look at council member, a first council member was appointed in March 13th of 2012. And under this new ordinance, we would be allowing the term to go all the way to March of 2026. That would give this council member, considered council member 1, a full 14 years minus 10 days from March 13, 2012 to March 3, 2026. That would be a full 14 years. Now, moving on to council member 2 and council member 3, that they were elected in March of 2015, and under this ordinance, they would end their term on March 2028. doing that math, it's a 13 years. So we go from council member 1 to council member 14 years to council member 2 and 3, 13 years. Now we go to 4th council member and 5th council member. 5th council member, we got elected in June 2017, June 7th, 2017, and they want to extend it up to March 2030. That would only give us 12 years and 9 months. So we're going from 14 to 13 to 12, 9 months. Now my justification is going to page 3 under paragraph number 3. Paragraph number 3. For example, section 2.08.160A provides that a person is ineligible to hold office as a member of the city council if that person has served in office for 3 full terms. So that's 3 full terms. Okay, 3 full terms. Meanwhile, section 2.08.160C provides that a person who serves less than 1/2 the original term will not be considered to have served a full term for purposes of calculating term limits. Finally, section 2.08.160B provides that under no circumstances may a person hold office as member of the city council for longer than 12 years. So if we skip the middle about serving more than half of the term, the keywords that I'm looking at is 3 full terms. And then it says no more than 12 full years. So if we follow the ordinance, the way it was voted on by our voters, we are expecting our council members to serve for 3 full terms, which they're not gonna be shortchanged. And the ordinance also stipulates that no council member should serve over 12 years. So to me, it's clear, you know, whatever the state is doing at their level, every time I bring up a concern about the state and the county and the city, I'm always sold. The city, we're an independent city, and we override whatever the county or the state does. At this point, I don't feel that it's fair that we're overriding and the voters. It was voted on. The ordinance took place on March 8, 2011. And again, this is the first time that we have an opportunity to implement or actually put this 3-term limit into effect, and we want to change it before we have even done it one time. So again, the intention of the ordinance was to give a council member the full 12 years, which I'm in agreement, in 3 full terms. I don't see why we need to. First, it's not equitable. I believe I explained 1 council member would get 14 years, 2 council members would get 13 years, and 2 other council members, where I include, would at maximum get 12 years and 9 months. I do believe it's not equitable, and I do believe that we're gonna be incurring costs that we don't have money to spend. I wouldn't wanna go ahead and change this because the voters voted on it, and then incur a cost that employees and residents are gonna see we're trying to benefit ourselves or doing something that looks like we're benefiting ourselves. I think if we read the way the ordinance was written, the keywords is no more than 3 full terms and 12 years. I believe that's the math that were intended. We can look at it many different ways, but the ordinance, the way it was voted, was no more 3 full terms and no more than 12 years. To me, it's very clear. So I don't know where my colleagues stand on it. I think if they elected us and we can serve up to 12 years, I think if I'm fortunate to be able to do that, that will be more than enough. And it would be time for me to pass on the torch to somebody that hopefully I was able to mentor or is able to replace me. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Mendoza. So 2 things to our city clerk. Well, number 1, Mendoza did add that there'd be a cost because of the election, right? So, but no matter what, it seems that whatever decision we make, there's still going to be a cost at the end of whatever decision we make, right? Because no matter what, there will still have to be a special election.
Yes, it will be a special election because basically, and I can answer like there is 3-fold into this ordinance. First point, yes, the intent of the voters was 3 terms. And there was also placed there 12 years. However, there is nothing stated in the current ordinance about changing the state laws that recently happened. But also we have a provision, and this is a third one, when we have, and it happens in the past, when we have somebody filling out a term that was not finished. And the way it reads right now, if somebody spent that and fulfilled the term less than 2 years, it doesn't count towards the 3 terms. However, and it's a simple math because it's a contradiction, because if you have 12 years and now any of you who will be having at one point 13 or 12 years and 9 months, you would have to step down. So you can't serve the full 3 terms. There is 2 words and terminologies, 3 full terms and 12 years. And at either way, whenever you come to your 3rd term, you will be affected. And those also inconsistencies, the main one is like anything happens and we might have another like terms that somebody like steps down for different reasons, and it's not a full term. So it's a simple math, and it's not consistent right now in the ordinance. So even if any of you, that's why we listed 1, 2, and 4th and 5th council member will be affected on a 3rd term.
Lina,
And
so,
yet there will be at one point, like if let's say the council member number 1 runs and steps down in 2 years after the election, we would have a special election again to run somebody and get another council member to fill out the term.
So how many special elections will we have to, let's just say we vote no today, how many special elections will we then have to go? Because council member number 1, there'd have to be election, but then they'd have to, then 2 other council members, that's 2 special elections. And then is there a 3rd party to this?
It's gonna.
Yeah, to fill the unexpired term, you can do the 2 ways, either by appointment, and then there is one set of process we have to follow, or the council can decide to have a special election. Yes, it will be potentially 3 special elections.
Can we just add this to an election, like on, when's our next election in 2022? Can't this just be added to the ballot instead of holding a special election?
Well, the objective would be if the city council wanted to add it to the already existing November election in order to, you know, to not have a standalone special. So you could choose to add it. And, you know, I must stress that there's a lot of speculation, you know, on staff's part here, but let me explain sort of the rationale and why I bring this forward. You know, if hypothetically Councilmember A gets reelected in 2022, that could be 1 special. If Councilmember 2 and 3 get reelected in 2024, you could potentially have another 2 specials, and so on with another 2 specials in 2026. I think that, you know, whatever way the city council wants to decide, obviously is appropriate. However, we've been unable to uncover any city that has a provision where there's that 12 maximum. So I think it's worth knowing at least that we are outside the norm that way. Frankly, it was probably poorly written, and that's why, you know, that's why it's on the books that way, but it is on the books. And it's up to the city council, if it wishes to address it, to take it to the voters. If it doesn't wish to do so, then at least for the time being, it provides that heads up, if you will, to potential council members that they may be serving less than a full term after their 3rd reelection.
And if I could clarify too, there was a question posed about something about we're just submitting it to the voters. The recommendation, should this move forward where council decides to submit this to the voters, it's a 4 process.
Dr. Shut up.
Who was that?
I have no idea.
All right. I think
It's a 4 process recommendation. So the language that is drafted in the ordinance, council would have to approve at least the language to say, this is what needs to be done to the ordinance to clarify. And that's the language that would be submitted to the voters for their approval or rejection. So it would be that would be 1 motion, and then also then the resolutions to move forward with the elections.
Okay, so again, I know that it's probably going to sound like I'm pushing the issue too much, but again, where's the equity from 14 years to 13 years to 12 and 9 months? You know, it's not, this ordinance will not be an ordinance that will make it first equitable for all the council members sitting in council right now. And second, again, I'm looking at the election, that the ordinance that was passed, we're going to go ahead and we're going to change it without giving the opportunity of those people that voted on March, or when it was implemented in March 8th of 2011. So again, my concern is it's not equitable, because if I'm able to stay in council, I'm looking at a maximum of 12 years and 9 months. If it was a thing where everybody's going to get 13 or 14 or 12 and 9 months, I'm happy, because to me that would be considered equitable. Everybody gets the same. By doing this, I think what we're doing, we're opening up a scenario where when another council member is up for re-election, let's say myself, then I feel like I don't want to step down. And what happens if I'm able to convince, or at that point I have a majority of 2 council members that support me, and next thing you know, you guys got Mendoza for another 20 years. I wouldn't want to see that. I mean, you know, hopefully if I'm fortunate to serve 12 years, but you know, I think that would be enough for anybody. If you're going to get anything done for our community, I think 12 years is more than enough. If you need more time than that, or it's just not looking out for the community, it's not us obeying or following the residents' will. So again, I'm comfortable with whatever the council votes, but I just want to make sure that you understand that I don't believe it's equitable. And if we're okay with that, I'm okay with it. Thank you, Norma.
Thank you, Councilmember Mendoza. And I know that when all this was written, that there was a lot of, I believe, some confusion maybe, and like our city manager said, it was poorly written. And I don't think that the residents anticipated that the state would change the election dates. So it's up to you guys if you guys want to table this and put this on the next agenda so we can hear from Councilmember Soria, or if you just wanted to take a vote on it now. What is the council's pleasure?
Councilmember Soria did in fact just join us, Mayor.
Okay.
For the record, at 6:34.
Got it. Is there any questions or concerns from any, or suggestions from any other council member?
Well, I think we should bring it back just to clear any concerns. You know, I wasn't looking at it from the angle of equity in the term, in the time. So Councilmember Mendoza did bring up a really good point. Although we also have to look at the fact that when the county changed the year, that added a year to us, I feel like everybody's going to be cut, whether it's us or an incoming council member. So I understand that point as well. But I think I would be okay if we tabled it, or I don't know if anybody else has any other questions, but that is actually a really good point that I actually didn't think about. Thank you.
I concur myself with the comments made by Councilmember Mendoza, and unfortunately, I mean, I'm in a position to have already served beyond the number of years that we're discussing here, which puts me in an odd situation here. But I do tend to agree with what the voters have already initially voted and approved. And I would just say, hey, look, let's leave it as is. This is what their intent was. And I think we should honor the request of what they actually voted for. Those are just my comments on it. Obviously, you know, it in essence gave me an additional 12 years as it is written. But that was because it's not, it doesn't affect me because I was elected after this was passed. So in essence, I had the ability to run for an additional three terms. But anyways, I do agree that, you know, it was passed, and we should honor what the voters' intent was then. We should honor that and stick with it today. But if we want to discuss it, I'm open to tabling it and bringing it back for further discussion.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and table this and have some further discussion on it, and let's see if there is some contradiction in this ordinance, and then from there we can start making some decisions. So if you can set up some like a little workshop with 1 or 2 council members at a time, and then we can bring it back.
Certainly, Mayor, and I don't mean to swim upstream, but I'm in complete agreement with all of your feedback. I just can't stress enough how unorthodox and poorly written. So while the voters did approve it, and certainly worth upholding, it's nothing that needs to get addressed this year or next, or even the year after before it takes effect. But it was pretty poorly written. So hopefully we can move as you wish, and schedule those workshops and bring you more information at a later date.
Got it.
Sorry. That being said,
I agree with you, and maybe we can resolve this. We don't know what kind of question this is going to create in the future, so I'd rather resolve this matter soon. So let's work on it.
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Council. We'll move on to item number 11. Legal Counsel.
Thank you, Mr. Cisneros. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I will be presenting on item number 11. Item number 11 has City Council consider 2 ordinances. One is in substance, it's the same, but one is an urgency ordinance and the other one would be passed by regular first reading and second reading. The subject matter of this is concerning tenancy and evictions and limiting rent increases for residential real property. So this is a ordinance that has more protections for tenants. As you may recall, we discussed, I believe it was early in the year, where AB 1482 was passed statewide, providing a cap on rent increases on multifamily rental units, indicating that at no time, no more than 10% of a rent increase could be imposed, and that if any rent increases were effectuated after March 2019, that after January 2020, the rent would be rolled back to whatever the rent was done prior. And also AB 1482 implemented protections as to when a landlord could evict a tenant, whether it was for just cause evictions, so it would be an at-fault just cause or no-fault just cause. Typically, if it's for non-payment or breach of lease, that would be fine. But also if there were any type of things where the landlord is remodeling the unit and would ask the tenant to be evicted, they would provide relocation fees. So we adopted, in essence, back in the, I believe in January or before January, we adopted what AB 1482 was regulating. However, what this ordinance tries to do is codify it into our own municipal code, make it permanent and based on the state law that allows us to be more protective and more restrictive. That's the intention of this ordinance. Currently, there's no enforcement mechanism in AB 1482. So the only real remedy that the tenants would have, should the landlords be in violation of this, is if they have this through the court proceeding. So what this allows to do is that it actually criminalizes an action and allows the city to move forward against any person violating our ordinance, either criminally or civilly. Also, we are a little bit more protective in certain areas where here we're saying also that if, let's say an owner says that they want to evict someone because they're going to have their own family come and live in their home, we're asking that they give the current tenant a first right of refusal before offering it into the market. Also, if they're saying that they want to evict a tenant because the remodeling, the unit, so that they don't use that as a potentially bad faith effort. We're actually putting the burden on the landlord that if that's the case, that they need to have their city permits in place so that there actually is some construction that's going on. So that in essence is the main provisions, but like I said, it's similar to AB 1482. However, it's different where we are trying to be a little bit more protective of tenants, and further it provides and implements or codifies an enforcement provision where now the city could be enforcing against landlords, against property managers, something that 1482 doesn't do. So I will conclude that, and I am prepared to answer any specific questions that any of you may have.
Is there any questions or comments or advice from City Council?
Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to thank Norma and the team for putting this ordinance together. I know that my concern the last time around was that there was no teeth into the ordinance. And I'm happy to see that, you know, if landlords violate this ordinance, there's a $1,000 fine. The only question that I have, because it's complaint based, when it comes to implementing or enforcing, I would like legal counsel just to give us an example how a landlord would be fined and what the procedure would be, because I think it's written in the item, but I didn't see, you know, usually they'll give you an example so we can have a clear picture on how it will work. I'm happy that the language is there for the fine, and I believe it's for every incident that is violated. So I'm happy with that. The only thing that I would feel a little bit more comfortable and like to see one example of a landlord violating the ordinance and what the process it would be for them to get fined, who would be doing the enforcement, because that's the only thing I read, that it's compliant based or complaint based, but I didn't see who the enforcer was going to be. If it was going to be the city or if it was going to be the sheriff's department. I just want to have a clearer picture on how it would work. So if she can do that, I really appreciate it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, who can speak into Councilmember Mendoza's concerns and questions?
Absolutely, thank you, Mayor. You do bring a great point, and I do want to raise that as part of our recommendation, we would recommend at least maybe having a grace period if this were to be passed, to have some type of information, either through some kind of informational campaign on the city's website or a mailer, to put landlords and tenants on notice before we actually start enforcing this. So I would want to make sure that that is our recommendation. Secondly, Councilmember Mendoza, it would be treated as a code enforcement case, and Mr. Cisneros may be able to provide additional information as to maybe who he would think would be best fit to enforce this. But let's say a tenant, right, after reading the ordinance, gets served with certain papers, and then believes that this is in violation of our ordinance. He or she would have the ability to contact, whether it's code enforcement or a designated person from staff, that again would be part of our informational campaign, to say if, you know, they could contact this person and then the investigation would take place. And so a lot of the times our office works with code enforcement. So there's different ways that we work up a case to be able to enforce. And let's say we file a criminal complaint in the LA Superior Court against a landlord, or also administratively, we can also issue administrative citations to impose a fine, and perhaps with a threat to say, you know, we're going to issue you one more fine or another opportunity. And if you don't pay this fine, if you're not in compliance, then we move forward with criminal prosecution. So we would have that discretion as well as to how aggressive we want it to be, especially to see how egregious it would be. Obviously, like, let's say we have a landlord that has open cases against several tenants, and several of the tenants are complaining to the city, that would make our case stronger, that as city attorneys and city prosecutors, we would feel comfortable establishing and putting the evidence together for purposes of prosecution.
Thank you. And my question is, so the landlords that are currently in violation, are we going to give them an opportunity to resolve and come up with a solution?
To my knowledge, I don't, and correct me if I'm wrong, but to my knowledge at this point, we're not aware of specific situations, but I know that there has been a continued consistent policy directive that we want more of the enforcement teeth for this ordinance. So it would just be obviously proactive in that we provide landlords with notice to make sure that they adhere to this new law, and saying, you know, within 30 days after it's effective, now that everybody's in notice, the city will start implementing or enforcing this.
Yeah, but my question is, if there's anybody in violation since this law in 2019, the Protection Act, are they going to have time to resolve, or are we letting that go, or are we? Because I know that there's been some rent increases that's been 50% or 30%, 20%. So what is going to happen in that case?
And that could be based on a discussion we're having tonight, right? That could be a directive from City Council that if it is the will or the desire of the council members to say, you know what, why don't we issue them a notice of violation first, or, and give them an opportunity to comply before the city imposes any type of violation. So we could do a courtesy notice to say, in case you don't know, this law was passed, it's now in effect, whatever date, please know that you have 30 days to comply. If you don't comply, then, we may have the ability to invoke additional remedies against you. So that's an avenue we can take during this transitional stage.
Perfect, I'm good with that. Okay, is there any questions, concerns, or suggestions from council?
No, my question was also going to be on rent increases, because I don't think I see it in the staff report unless I'm looking at the wrong page. And I wanted to know a little more. I know that a few residents reached out to me from one of our apartment complexes who unfortunately during this pandemic raised the rent on the tenants. Some of them can't even pay their rent because they've been either furloughed or let go of their jobs. And these, unfortunately, these companies are raising the rent. I know that we've done two emails with companies in Commerce that are letting go of a lot of employees. So we're seeing that, we're not out of this pandemic yet, and more employees are getting let go. But a lot of our property owners are raising the rents. So I wanted to see what that looks like in here.
Sure, and with that provision, we are also, we are being consistent with AB 1482, right? Because we also have to look at it from a perspective from landlords, right? That there are certain increases that are, that they shouldn't have to bear, right? So what specifically concerning the rent increases, it allows a cap of 5% rent increase plus the percentage of change in the cost of living. But at no time should the maximum be 10% of the rent increase on an annual basis. So even though, Mayor Pro Tem Rebollo, even though we are proposing this now as an ordinance as part of our municipal code, keep in mind that before this, AB 1482 still is in effect. Okay. So they still have those protections. And you can refer them to staff and we can work with them as well if they have any.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, then we have a recommendation. We have actually, one recommendation includes two ordinances to ensure that the city can enforce the AB 1482 immediately. So is there a motion to pass this ordinance?
Move.
There's a motion.
Second.
There's a second. Can we please have a roll call?
Councilmember Mendoza,
Yes.
Councilmember Argumedo,
Yes.
Councilmember Sawyer,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reboyer,
Yes.
and Mayor Altamirano.
Yes.
And I'll read the title of the ordinance. An urgency ordinance of the City of Commerce, Council of the City of Commerce, adding chapter 9.95 to the Commerce Municipal Code relating to just forced termination of tenancies, rent control, and declaring the urgency thereof. And we had a twofold. We have a regular ordinance, first reading too. So should we have a separate motion for that one too?
Okay. Is there a motion for the second?
Who moved and seconded? Sorry, I missed that.
I missed it too. I don't know who moved on it.
I believe it was Councilmember Mendoza that made the motion, and Council Member Argumedo made the second on the urgency ordinance.
Okay.
But we need another motion for the first reading of the regular
So
ordinance.
moved.
Nobody has
rather
done.
than-
Now Mayor Pro Tem Reboyo.
Okay, yeah, there's a motion.
Second that.
There's a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Argumedo,
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza,
Yes.
Councilmember Sawyer,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reboyer,
Yes.
and Mayor Altamirano.
Yes. Okay, motion passes. Yep.
And I will read the title of the ordinance quickly. The ordinance of the City Council of the City of Commerce adding chapter 9.95 to the Commerce Municipal Code relating to just cause termination of tenancies, rent control.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now move on to item number 12, an ordinance. Who will be?
So this ordinance is a second reading, the second reading and adoption of the ordinance of the City Council of the City of Commerce, amending sections Title 10, Chapter 1044, stopping, standing, and parking related to the Commerce Municipal Code, creating a temporary recreational parking permit program. This ordinance was first introduced at its June 2nd, 2020 meeting and was approved by unanimous vote of all 5 council members for the first reading. There were no proposed changes to the ordinance. This is a second reading of the ordinance.
Okay, so do you need a motion to waive the full reading and reading by title only?
Yes, correct. The recommendation is to waive the full reading of the ordinance and adopt it for the second reading.
Okay, is there a motion? There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Argumedo,
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza,
Yes.
Councilmember Sawyer,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reboyer,
Yes.
and Mayor Altamirano.
Yes. Okay, motion passes, so you can read it by title only.
And I will read the title, sorry. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Commerce, amending sections 10.44.130 and 10.44140 of the chapter 10.44 stopping, standing, and parking, and adding sections 10.44.135 and 10.44.136 to chapter 10.44 stopping, standing, and parking to the Commerce Municipal Code, creating a temporary recreational parking permit program and the recreational vehicle disability parking permit program.
Okay, now we'll move on to city council reports, and we'll go ahead and start with Councilmember Argumedo.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank our community for our recent election related to Measure C and CC. I really want to thank them for stepping up and actually taking and getting involved in the recovery of our city. I really think that this was very pivotal, not only these 2 projects here that were on the ballot, but I think additional projects that we're going to need to fully recover. And I really appreciate the community, I think, understanding the need the problem that we're actually going through, and them actually supporting all of us, in essence, in making sure that we pass these two measures. I think they're very, very important to the future of our city, and I'm really happy and pleased to see that the community understood that and was very supportive of it. And I'd like to commend each of you for the roles that you each played in making sure that this was successful. So I'll move on to, also, I wanted to extend our congratulations to all of our graduates, of course. I know they were having some drive-by graduations today, but unfortunately, due to my work schedule, I couldn't make some of them, or any of them actually, because I'm still at work right now. But I want to wish all of our graduates congratulations once again on this difficult pandemic that we're going through and how it's affected everybody. Who would think that we would be doing drive-by graduations in today's day and time right now? You know, not only graduations, but birthdays and all these other events that we're celebrating nowadays. But I just want to extend my thanks to each of them. I also did a gift to 50 Commerce residents that graduated, and I posted it on Facebook, and I want to thank those individuals that took advantage of it and came by the house. And we also made a couple of visits to a couple of graduates in their homes in different parts of the city, and it was very nice. I really enjoyed it. I'd like to thank my wife, who played a big role in putting it all together, and also some of our commissioners. I want to thank them for putting some time and effort in coming to the home and helping us out and handing out these gifts that were prepared. Also, we used one of our local Commerce residents and ordered. Her name is Brittany, and that's our former councilwoman Sylvia Munoz's daughter-in-law. And just want to thank them. Everybody worked well together, putting these things together, and they were very well received by many of the graduates that came to the house and those that we delivered to people's homes. So again, thank you to everybody that was involved. It's Sandy Cornejo, Patricia Merino, Conchita from the Bristol Park area. Also, I want to thank them for all their help and support in this effort. Also, I want to extend my best wishes to all our fathers out there, and I know you guys on the council here, all our parents as well, but also to our fathers. I want to extend my best wishes to all our fathers. We have Father's Day coming up, and I just want to say Happy Father's Day, and thank you for the roles that each of you play in keeping our families together and being supportive of our children out there. So again, thank you very much, and that concludes my report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and go with Councilmember Mendoza.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to begin also by thanking the council for being so involved with the graduates here in Commerce. Because of my work, I haven't been able to be too involved. I wasn't able to attend today's event with the graduations, but I know that our city council is representing, so thank you for being there. The other thing I want to report is, I know in the last week I've received many calls regarding the fireworks. I'm personally experiencing a lot of the cherry bombs, the M80s at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and car alarms going on. So, I'm just letting my colleagues know that this is a concern that, we addressed some time back, and we were very successful in slowing down the fireworks. Hopefully we get, again, aggressive on it and make sure that if we're going to allow people to celebrate, at least that it's closer to the 4th of July than now. It's kind of early now, and I know they're inconveniencing a lot of our residents. People, again, they're blowing them up or letting them off at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I know because I'm hearing them myself. So I also want to wish my colleagues and every father in Commerce a Happy Father's Day. Also, the numbers when it comes to COVID-19 started going up in Los Angeles County. Weeks ago, I was in Huntington Beach. And I was really disappointed that about 90% of the people out on the beach were not wearing masks. And I did understand that it was Orange County and there's a different mentality out there than out here. This weekend, I went to go celebrate Flag Day over in San Pedro, and I was very happy to see that about 90% of the people in San Pedro were wearing their mask. Again, San Pedro is still part of Los Angeles County or City of Los Angeles. So I can see a big difference. I want to continue to encourage our residents to keep on wearing your mask, keep on taking all the precautions. With that, I'm going to lead into, I've been getting a lot of calls from our residents, especially the parents that have little ones. They're asking me, when are we going to open up the playgrounds and the parks? From a lot of the teenagers and adults, I'm hearing the question about our gym. Also the aquatorium. People want to get out there and start swimming. I contacted our park director, Greg Alanis, and I was happy to learn that he actually sits on a committee in LA County where he's helping plan the opening of all these places. So I'm happy to report to the residents that soon we will be sitting down as a council and we're going to discuss the opening of these again, the playgrounds, the gym, and the aquatorium. I want to thank also our residents. We had an election for Measure C and CC, and our residents overwhelmingly 2-1 passed this ordinances or measures. For Measure C, we had 1,166 that voted yes, and no was 571. Measure CC, yes at 1,038, and no 525. And I'm specifically saying thank you to our residents because I know there was a campaign out there from outsiders of people that really don't care about our community that wanted to see this project stop. This project is not only going to benefit us with jobs, with sales revenue, it's going to put the telegraph corridor in the map. Once this is complete, we're going to have the title of the biggest outlet mall in the state of California. And I know me and my colleagues are going to put some pressure on the Citadel to try to hire the majority of the people there be our Commerce residents. So I know that's a commitment that you're going to have from our council, and we're going to benefit. I want to thank you for protecting our city, for looking out for our services and programs, and for allowing us to soon be able to get another revenue source. Again, thank you to our residents, and thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, absolutely. Mayor Pro Tem Orale Reboyo, please. You're on mute.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I just wanted to give a little bit of information. I attended a homelessness summit, and it was really alarming to learn that the number of people becoming homeless exceeds the number of people that are exiting homelessness. A day there's about 133 people that exit homelessness, but 150 that become homeless. And I think this is, I will say, an epidemic that, most cities are not addressing at the root of the problem. And those numbers are really alarming. And so I think that it's time for us to have more discussions on what we are going to be doing as a city. I know that the city of Bellflower has championed, resources for their city and people that are in their city who are homeless. City of Cerritos just opened up housing for homeless students. So I think it's time for us to really have this discussion as to, what are the things that we can do here in the City of Commerce to address this epidemic. Second, I just wanted to, like everybody else, to wish all the fathers a happy Father's Day, and all the males that have been role models in children's lives who have an absent father, a happy Father's Day as well. And also just to end with, if Mayor, if we can end in memory of long-term resident Barrett Norsworthy, who passed on to be with our Lord in heaven, who was 93, I believe. Barrett was a city resident, city employee, and lived a beautiful life till her last days. We were delivering, I hear from the senior center that they were delivering meals to her home. And just wanted to extend my condolences to her family and ask if we could please adjourn today's meeting in her memory. And just congratulations to all of the 2020 graduates, whether it be preschool, preschool, kindergarten, 4th grade, 5th grade, 8th grade, high school, college, vocational schools, graduated from boot camp. Congratulations to all our 2020 graduates. Thank you to the Citadel for their celebration of most of our graduates, and just to let the community know to be on the lookout for the video clips that we'll be playing soon, and just everything that we're doing to celebrate our graduates as well. So thank you to everyone. Have a good evening, and God bless everyone.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So I want to start, well, I'll say really quick, Barrett Norsworthy, she was 97 years old, and she was going to be 98 in August. But I'll go back to the first one, and Councilmember Mendoza, feel free to chime in if you'd like on this one. I do want to thank Councilmember Mendoza for coming with me. Well, I know that the community's been complaining about the Church's Chicken lot, and we met with the developer, and we have good news. I actually walked the lot for the first time, and it's really, really bad. And I didn't realize how bad it was. When we got there was someone there that left the property, but also some of the neighbors, the business neighbors, started to come out and speak to us about what takes place there. And they're willing to help us. We are gonna use, there's been cameras there that they've like stolen and broken and things of that nature, but the neighboring businesses are willing to help us. They're going to allow us to put cameras and use their power, and they're gonna help us with some lighting. But we're also on Friday, we're going to be meeting there with a general contractor, and one of the things that I was trying to wrap around my head, I want to thank Councilmember Argumento for this one, is that I wanted to I continue with the fencing and test coverings, and I wanted to put some artwork and try to make it beautiful for the residents. But Councilmember Argumento had a point that if we continue to leave the fencing there, coverings, that then potentially people are going to still continue to go there and hide there and live there. So we made a decision to take the fencing down, clean up the lot, close up the building, paint the building, and have an electrician there as well, because he's gonna put lighting everywhere, motion sensors, and he's also going to put some more cameras that's actually, hopefully they're maybe wireless that they can't get to. And second, put some fencing in the back so they won't dump stuff into the lot, and that way it could now be visible. And we're just waiting, and the developer does want to knock the building down as soon as possible, at least, so this will stop. But they can't right now. And we're trying to negotiate that with the bank that has interest on that building and lot. They can't knock it down because of the current lawsuit that they have with the environmental justice agency. So I hope that we can be on the same page. It just seems like a lot of our projects stop because of these lawsuits. I mean, they were involved in that lawsuit. They were involved in the Citadel lawsuit, and I'm sure there's more. But let's just move our community forward, right? I mean, it's unsafe to continue to keep it the way it is. I want to thank Cal Water, but I do want to thank Commissioner Laura Perez. She responded to a huge water leak And it looks like this water leak has been leaking right in front of city, Rosewood Park School. It looked like it's been leaking for a while. But the street started to crack and all of a sudden a lot of water started to seep up into the street. So the fire department did respond around 12, and I'm not sure why they did not call Cal Water. And I wanted to ask our city manager if they can reach out to the fire department and see why they didn't notify us or Cal Water, because it continued to leak until the late evening. And that's when we called Cal Water and they came and repaired it. So I want to thank our commissioner, Laura Perez, and Cal Water. For the Rosewood School, June 22nd, we are going to have the 5th grade promotion. They're going to have a car parade. It's going to start at 9 a.m. And also the 8th grade promotion they're going to have the car parade starting at 1 p.m. So I think it's one vehicle per student family, and just bring your mask. Let's be safe. I did want to say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, and I also wanted to say Happy Father's Day to all the moms that have to be a mom and a father. So I know that our councilwoman, our Mayor Pro Tem Aurora Arboyo is one of those. So Happy Father's Day to you and to all the mothers out there. I wanted to also speak into 4th of July. Yes, we've been getting a lot of calls regarding this. So my hopes are that the city somehow can take action, and I think we should have some discussions on some curfew on 4th of July with stopping the fireworks at a decent time. I wanted to say happy birthday to my sister Jalissa, and I wanted to also say happy birthday to my wife Susie. And we will be closing this meeting in honor of a beautiful soul, Barrett Norworthy. She's always had a smile. She was a good friend, and she was 97, and she was going to be 98 in August. So it was just a blessing to know her. We'll be closing in memory of her. So the meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.